Hey guys, I am so excited for today's episode because I have a longtime friend back on here with me today. I have Miss Heather Doran. I'm so excited to have her because today we are going to be talking about what is keeping you stuck where you are and how can you get to that next level. And it's always a fun and interesting conversation when we have Heather on. So I'm super excited to have her today. Welcome to another episode of Awaken Your Inner Awesomeness. I am your host, Melissa Oatman from melissaoatman.com. If you're new, I want to welcome you. If you're returning, welcome back. So let's jump right in. Hi, Heather. How are you today?
Hi, everybody. I know some of you are awaiting this next pairing of us. So I'm so
Yeah.
excited to be here.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you here because I know every time I have you on, I get so much great feedback from my audience after the conversations we have because we just like your talent combined with what I know, we always have an awesome conversation. So I can't wait to jump right in today and get started. But before we start talking about what's keeping people blocked, let us know, what have you been up to?
Oh, so many things, right? COVID, since I think I was last year, we had COVID happen. And for the longest time, I had been kind of like wanting out of my job. And it's so interesting that when I started doing that work of like, okay, being okay with where I was at, being okay with that place, all of a sudden, like I'm not saying like yay COVID happened, but like COVID happened and then I was able to work from home. And there was a short period of time where we were called back into the office and I was like, no. I at that moment, like I made a decision. I was like, this does not work for me. And so when I made that decision, it was like boom, like things just started falling into place of like I got opportunities. I ended up picking up some extra work. My income expanded. We ended up doing over $200,000 last year. So like my life and my business like expanded. We bought a camper, a tow behind camper. So I had originally bought the truck and I was like, okay, I want to have a travel trailer so we can travel and all that stuff. And then it just opened up opportunity for me to be able to work remote and then start to do this traveling that I wanted to do, even though, the country was, having whatever was going on. And so I was like, yes, I'm doing this. We bought a travel trailer. We started traveling. We did quite a bit of traveling last year. And it was just interesting that like that one decision just kind of opened up the floodgates. And so this year, I am moving into doing more coaching. I'm moving away from doing the done for you stuff. And I'm helping business owners by really helping their service providers with this bookkeeping and finance stuff. And so I have a program for that. And then I'm going to be going into doing corporate to six-figure CEO. So really just stepping it up. I've really gotten clear on my values and my vision, and I've done a ton of inner work. My highest value is teamwork and having partnership, right? So like my highest value is partnership. So like in everything I do, when I hire my team, how I interact with my spouse, how I interact with every client, like everything to me is partnership, and I completely value that. And so what's happened, I have had to let shit go in my life because of it, because it just didn't feel like a partnership. It didn't feel like it was aligned. And I had to do the really uncomfortable work of using my voice and saying like this doesn't work for me anymore. And because of that, it's opened up more avenues, more doors for growth. So that's a little bit about what I've been doing.
A little bit. You just haven't been too much. I love that. I love that you said, okay, this is what I want for my life. And you used your voice and you spoke up and you got it. And I think that we were kind of having a little conversation before we started recording this. And we were talking about the fact that sometimes that is where people get stuck, is that they don't give themselves permission to know
Yes.
what they want, to go after what they want, and to use their voice to get what they want. We were kind of talking about that. So What are your thoughts?
Yes. So here's the biggest thing, and it took me forever to kind of sink into this, is to really give myself the permission to ask for what I wanted and to state what I wanted and to say, yes, this is what I want. And going into it knowing that maybe it won't look totally the way that I thought it would look, but that's okay. So we always like have this fear of like, oh, but if I get that thing and I get what I want, then like, what if it doesn't work out? Or what if this and what if that? But that's part of the journey, right? Because as you ask for what you want, you get more clear on what you don't want, right? And so we always forget that piece. And here's the thing, it's never a mistake. It's never, oh, well, I shouldn't have done that. It's never, everything is always happening for you. And I think when you can finally make that decision and say, no, I am going to go after what I want, I'm going to give myself the permission to just verbalize it. Because one thing that I've noticed with clients and even with myself, right? It's like I was working with a client a couple weeks ago and we were talking about like it's safe for me to be happy in my business. I deserve happiness. Like even saying I deserve happiness, happiness is my birthright. Like even I would say, okay, so repeat that back to me. And even repeating that back to me, like she instantly got emotional. And it's like, yes, like this is the work, right? Like these are the things. It's like, yes, okay, good. So tell me more. Like, why are you getting emotional? What's coming up? And automatically, like just underneath it, it's because we don't feel worth it. We don't feel worthy. We don't feel like we're enough, that we deserve it for whatever reason that's happened in our life, traumas. And we don't feel worthy. We don't feel like we're allowed to ask for what we want and that we are not worthy of having it. So that's like the huge work that I've done myself and that I now help people move through.
I love that. That's awesome. And another thing I think that comes up for people, and I've personally had this come up with clients before in the past, is it's not just the fear of not being successful or if I am successful, then what? I think a lot of it is also fear of judgment from others. That if I am successful, these people are going to not like it and they're going to be. And I just posted something today, actually. This is the funny thing. I posted it on Instagram and I'm going to read it because I think it really is relevant to what we're talking about right now. It says, like, it used to bother me when friends or family didn't support me until I came across this quote. You know why strangers support you more than people you know? Because people you know have a hard time accepting that you guys came from the same place, yet they're still in the same place. And I think that that is so true. I think one of the biggest reasons people are not supportive of you, like people you know, because I had that experience when I started my journey and I started my podcast. My family is like, what are you doing? And just stop. Like, you're embarrassing us. Quit doing this. And I think the biggest reason that happens is because, again, judgment. And you just talked about this earlier. You said all judgment is self judgment. And that's true.
Yes.
And it is like your friends and family, they're not really judging you, it's themselves, because it's that I don't like the fact that we came from the same place and somehow you made it and then I didn't. And I think a lot of people fear that that will happen, which, whether it does or not, that shouldn't stop you. But that's another hurdle that a lot of people have to jump over.
Yeah, and that's really what is the big thing, is that when you can understand that all judgment is self-judgment and you can stop yourself right there, that's when I think you can make a huge shift, not only in your own life, but your business, all kinds of things. And really understand that when you are judging other people for judging you, you're ultimately, there's something inside of you that's sticking, right? There's something inside of you that's like, that you don't feel totally worthy. You don't feel like you are accepted. And so every time you go to judge somebody, I want you to look around and then look inside and say, why is this a thing for me? Why am I struggling so much with this issue? Why am I looking at that person going, oh, well, that's great for her, and it's like, okay, So that's great for her that she has that success. But what in you internally, like ultimately, like what do you not believe in your own self that you can also have that? Because the other thing too is that, the laws of the universe is that if like anything that comes into your vibration and comes into your visualization, then you can ultimately have that as well, because their vibration spreads out and you can come into their vibration of having that thing too. And so when you can stop the judgment, that's when you can have this like awareness. You can step into the vibration, you can have it too.
Yeah, there's absolutely no reason, and I say this with in all honesty, that you don't need to compare yourself to anyone else or to look around and judge anyone else, because the universe is infinite. And some people have this idea that if I help this person or I help that person, like there's not going to be enough for all of us and they're going to take away my business, or they're going to do this or they're going to do that. And when you have the mindset that the universe is infinite, everything is possible. If that person can be so successful, so can I. I just have to tap into that mindset of I am successful. I am doing what I want to do. I do have more than enough. When you can do that, the judgment sort of falls away, because you realize the judgment is really more about why don't I have that? That's what it is a lot of time. It's more envy of what others have than it is, anything else. And that is unnecessary, because you can have everything anyone else has.
Yeah, and I also think that that's also a self-sabotage, because if I'm looking at you and I'm paying attention to you, I'm not paying attention to my own success. I'm not paying attention to myself. And so that's like, it's almost like our brain, it's just like, oh, well, over there. And like, so we get ourselves off track and we sabotage because, it's like, oh, well, if I look over there, then I don't have to, I can't, I won't ever, I don't need to ask for what I want because I'm not paying attention. And this goes back to that thing of allowing yourself to ask for what you want, giving yourself the permission to know that you are enough and you are worthy of having everything that your heart desires.
Yeah. And this is a big one. It requires a lot of faith and trust that the universe is always working behind the scenes on your behalf. And Emily, that we both worked with before, would always say, forget the how for now. And it's true, because you don't have to know exactly how it's going to work out. I remember when I was writing my book, I wanted to get it published, and I thought, I don't know how this is ever going to get published. But I had to let go of that doubt and the not knowing, to just have faith that, okay, if this is meant to be a book, I always say bring people into my life who can help me. And I always say line up my steps, show me my steps, illuminate them. And it's always happened where, okay, someone steps in and says, hey, have you tried this publisher? Did you do this? And the one publisher, they said, hey, have you tried? When I sent it to her, she said, I don't normally publish adult books. I do children's books, but I'm going to read it. I feel like I really need to read it. And then it's like, I have to publish this book. So everything lines up the way that it's supposed to. And we have to learn to stop, like you said, self sabotaging, stop getting in our own way, stop overthinking. It's really the overthinking, because we think of every possible way it won't work out instead of thinking of every possible way it will, and trusting.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this is the biggest thing that I'm starting to realize too, is like, we have to actually show up first. We have to actually do the thing first before the universe can show us what's in store for us, because we haven't gone through that transformation. We haven't gone through that level of uncomfortability yet. And so once we can kind of push through and kind of like the butterfly start to peek its head out, then the universe can come in and really align to that, because where we're at right now is not ultimately where we want to be, right? And so we have to take steps every single day, and all along the way, we have to show up. And when we show up, that's when the universe can match that. They can match that vibration. But where we are at vibrationally and where we're at physically in our life right now and mentally, we cannot get where we want to go by continuing to stay the same that we are today. And I had a conference I went to, and I felt like I finally got that. Like I finally understood, like, this is the reason, because as you change, as you grow out of your shell, that's where you can actually show up. Like that's where you can start to become that version of yourself. And you can't match, the vibration can't be matched where you're at right now, because where you're at right now, the vibration is being matched. That's why you're here. And so in order for you to match a new vibration, you have to do these hard things. And like you said, you have to start writing the book, right? You have to invest in the coach. You have to ask for help. You have to say, yes, this is actually what I fucking want. Like, yes, all of that stuff. And once you do that, then the universe is like, oh, okay, there's a new vibration that I can match to.
Yeah, and I think you nailed it. You hit the nail right on the head when you said people don't match the vibration, because what I often see is people, they're at threshold where, okay, I want this new career, I want this new relationship, I want this new whatever, fill in the blank of what they want, and they stay stuck because they find the coach, the person, the whatever, the program that can help them, and yet they don't want to spend the money because they're like, and I get it, because you're like, that's money, and if money's tight, I don't know how to spend it. But the universe is matching your energy. So if you're saying, I don't I don't love myself enough to invest in myself into something that's going to make me grow and get me to a new level, how are you going to ever get there? Because the universe is meeting you where you are, and where you are right now is not moving.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And this is the thing too, ladies, because I know this is like mostly a ladies show. This is the thing. Every time you step out of your comfort zone, you are betting on yourself. You are betting on yourself that you are going to make this work. You're going to make this happen. And if you focus on how to make this happen, this is when like things can happen. Like this is when the universe can open. Like you, I think about, and I just was talking to my husband about this too, about like the billionaires out there, the million, like these people that have so much money that they don't need, when they wake up, money is like not, it's not that it's an afterthought, it's not even a thought, right? And so when you can understand that there is so much money in this universe and that you live in an extremely abundant place, and it doesn't matter, like money can literally come to you in the form of a check. Like you don't know, the money can come for you. Somebody can knock on your door and say, hey, this thing, whatever. Like for example, I had somebody reach out to me that I was working with in a mastermind, and she reached out to me and she was like, hey, so I want to offer you my program for free. It's a 3-month program. I want to test it out and, get a testimonial. And here's the thing. I was like, oh my God, I can't receive that. I can't accept that. And so if you understand that if I can't receive that, I can't receive the value of somebody giving me support, how the fuck am I ever going to be a millionaire? How the hell am I ever going to have a 6-figure business, a 7-figure? Like, how am I ever going to have that career if I cannot accept and receive what I'm getting every single day? And this is the thing that I get so passionate about too, is receivership. Like we're always talking about gratitude and giving. But if you cannot receive, then you can never get there. You have to understand that every time you receive, you are allowing somebody else to gift you something. And when you receive it, that is the highest form of gratitude. That is the highest form of acceptance and bringing more gratitude and more space and more abundance into your life. So I would say if you are struggling with money or whatever, you got to start receiving.
Absolutely. And you know what? I used to be bad about this too. Someone would step in and say, hey, I see that you're struggling because you're a single mom and I want to pay for your groceries. You know, my mom would say that or something. You know, she'd say, I want to help you, I want to pay for your groceries, or I want to do this. And I would always feel like, oh no, inside I'm like, oh my God, thank goodness somebody's like reaching in to help. But on the outside, it's like, oh no, no, no. We've got to get to a place where we just simply say, thank you. Oh, thank you so much. That's so amazing that you want to help, because we've got to get out of this mindset that if somebody wants to help us and they want to give to us, we should feel ashamed about that, because they're what you're essentially doing is robbing someone else of their ability to give, which is part of
Yes.
what we're here to learn how to do, is to give and receive. You know, it's one thing if you're just taking from everyone, but most people that's not the case. Most people, it's just we've somehow been trained in our society that for somebody to give us something, we need to be embarrassed that, you know, someone's given us a handout, as we like to call it. There's
Yes.
nothing wrong with someone stepping in to help you. And it's someone has been, it's been laid on their heart that they want to help. And you're robbing them of their ability to fulfill their own heart's desires and giving freely to others. So we need to stop this whole idea that like if someone tries to help you, that just say no, 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 no. You know, instead just say thank you so much. You're awesome. I really appreciate it. You know, instead, because you're right. If you want to receive, you have to be a good receiver. And if you're doing that kind of stuff, you're not a good receiver. There's guilt and shame involved somewhere down the road, and somewhere deep inside it, and that's the stuff you've got to clear away, because otherwise you're going to find it hard. People think, oh, the universe can give me. Sometimes the universe uses other people to give to you. So if
Yes.
you're saying no, you're
That's what I mean. Like live in such an abundant place of like if we just stop what we're doing and look around and realize that shit's always coming to us. We're always receiving, things are always showing up for us. Like if we actually look around and we realize that and stop worrying about like how am I going to do this? How is this going to happen now? Like that again, that's not our job. Our job is to stay vibrationally aligned with where we want to go.
absolutely. And I think that allowing yourself to dream about what you actually want and how it could come to be when you're in a daydream like state, that is like a really high vibrational energy, and it's very close to being a dream state in your sleeping state. And when you are able to kind of get into contact, excuse me, with your dreams, like during the day, we've all done this. You are driving down the road and you get home and you're like, I don't remember going through the stoplight.
Oh my
That's
God, all the time.
like state, right? You're in a trance like state. And when you get into that state, it's a very powerful state. Now, a lot of people, when they do that, what happens is they start thinking about all the things that went wrong during the day, or, you know, they're thinking about the wrong kind of thing. If instead you could take that time where you're in that like trance like state to really focus on all the things that are awesome that could happen in your life. Like, yes, I do see myself getting that dream job. I see myself being able to start that business, to have that home that I've always dreamed of. Letting yourself go to that place instead of what most people actually do, which is to go to the place where we think about all of the negative things in our lives. If we could just do more of that, even, and allow ourselves to experience the joy of what could be.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that we stay stuck in such low vibrational thinking and such low vibrational a place most of our day. And like a lot of people talk about like, oh, you know, what is your morning routine and all this stuff. And it's like, screw that. Like, what is your daily routine? Like if you're stuck in all this lack and all this like, oh, my life sucks and this whole thing. And I think this is why I was finally able to make such like huge leaps in my life, is because I finally understood the fact that like I need to be happy right now. I need to find joy in what I have right now. And when I can do that, and when I did that, I'm telling you, like that, when I did that and I found that daily joy and that gratitude. And I asked for what I wanted. Like, it was amazing. I talk about it like on my Instagram stories all the time, is where when I started doing this work, one of the things I really wanted is to sit on my patio. I have a back patio, and I wanted to drink my coffee and watch my dogs out in the yard. And that was one thing that was like a big deal to me, to just be able to sit in the morning and just not hustle and run and all this stuff.
Yeah.
And now I can do that. Like, when I allowed myself to say, yeah, I can have a morning that's not hustling, like that small thing of like, no, I don't have to hustle. I can ask the universe to bring me a peace and calmful morning. I didn't know how that was going to happen. I didn't know my boss was going to say, hey, I know this, blah, 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 and you can work from home. And then I didn't have to drive 45 minutes to get to work. I could sit here and relax and enjoy my morning. I didn't know how that was going to happen. So this is the thing, is this is why we say where you start is where you have to start with figuring out where your joy is, start having joy where you're at now, but then give yourself the permission to say, yes, this is what I want. And I believe that I can have this. And I know that I'm worthy of having this.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you get very specific about what it is you want to have, in that you want to be able to take your time in the morning. You want to sit on your patio. There's a lot of visualization going on when you talk about that, which I love, which I think is so important. The other thing, and we were talking about this too, is if your job isn't giving you that opportunity right now, what are some ways that you can make it more flexible? And a lot of people just think, well, I have to go to work, I have to do this, we get so stuck in that tunnel vision that we don't look at all of the options that are available to you. And we were talking about that. Like for me, I like teaching children. I don't necessarily like that I got to go to work and I have 5 minutes to go to the bathroom in between each hour and I have 20 minutes to scarf down my lunch. Like, I don't like that. I don't like being on a bell system. I hate all of that. And we're like, what are some ways, that you can work around that? And so we were talking about, well, what if you do online school, or you do, you're just looking at all of your options. So for those people who are out there listening, and maybe you think there's no way right now that my job would give me that flexibility, maybe start thinking outside the box.
Yeah, like what other job can you
Yeah,
do? Like,
right.
and it doesn't have to be huge things though. Like, it's like, okay, well, is there a different department that will open up in my job? Or like, can I, just the thing is when you ask the question, how can I make this possible? That is when your brain literally starts to look for a solution for you. When you shut it down and say, I don't know, and that's not possible for me, your brain goes, got it.
Yeah.
You don't know. We're going to stop looking. And it literally stops looking. Your brain is here to make you happy and keep you safe. And so if you tell your brain, hey, I would like for us to look for an opportunity today to do XYZ, then your brain will start to seek out and look for that. And that's the biggest thing too, is that like I'm doing NLP right now, and like our brain, there's so much happening around us, but our brain is so smart that it's only telling us the things that it thinks we need to know. So for example, like you're driving down the road and there's like a gazillion things happening. There's sounds, there's dust, there's wind, there's stoplights, there's cars, there's all of this stuff happening. There's the music, the phone, all this stuff, right? Your brain thinks, because we've trained it, it thinks the only thing that you need to be focusing on is like, the position of your hands, the position of your feet, what you're listening to, visually looking for a stop sign. Those are the things your brain thinks that you need to be paying attention to right now. So what happens in life is we train it to think that this is all that it needs to be looking at. It only needs to look at the day job that I hate, the house that I hate, the backyard that I like. You train it to think that's the only thing it needs to look at today, as I wake up and I hate my life. But when you start to retrain it to go, wait a second, I want you to look for new opportunity. I want you to look for reasons to love my life. I want to look for reasons to have joy. Like, I want to open up my psyche to these other things. And that's when you can make the transformation.
Yeah, absolutely. Your brain is trained to find the negative, and you're fighting your biology to change your thoughts and to shift your mindset. This is why it's such a big deal, because people just think, oh, I think happy thoughts, and it's not that easy.
It's so much more than that. Like, if you don't feel the happy thoughts,
Yeah.
then you're wasting your time.
Yeah. And the thing is, you can look at your house and anyone can find something to focus on that they're like, oh my gosh, there's a scratch in that floor. Or, oh, that paint's chipping in that corner of the wall. Stop focusing on all the things that need work, because we know everything's always a work in progress. There's always things that can be fixed. Start looking at the things you love about it. Like, oh, I have this big spacious yard with the patio that I can sit outside and look at the flowers, and this is what I enjoy doing. What is it in your life that's making you happy? And yes, it's important to know what's not making you happy too, for the reason of knowing that this isn't where I want to be and I
Yes.
need to work on this. But while I'm doing that, I'm really happy with what I have and what I'm doing right here. If you're waking up every day and just hating life, you are not living. You're not living. And you're attracting more bad experiences into your existence, because that's what happens with energy. It's like a
Yes.
magnet, and your negative energy is just attracting more of that stuff into your life. And I just only can tell you, because I can speak from experience, you're blocking your blessings when you only choose to focus on all the negative things happening in your life. You're blocking them.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're doing it energetically without realizing we're doing it. That's why doing that deep diving work so important. Because half the time, just like you said, you thought you're doing the work and everything was going, but yet you still weren't seeing all of the success that you thought you should be. And you had to go back and do more. I still have to go back and do more. I told Heather that, I still work with coaches too. I'm not ever going to be a finished product, not as long as I'm on this earth, because that's just the way it is. And if you choose to just bury your head in the sand and say, well, I'll just do a meditation here and I'll do a tapping there, and I don't really have to, I don't have to do the deep diving work, you're not going to be living your best life. Just not.
Yeah, I mean, I had a meltdown this week, actually, like, a new layer. I was like, I thought I healed that. And what the hell is happening? And I had this like triggering thing. And I was like, wow, where did that come from? And it's just another level. It's another layer to healing, that not only can I heal myself at this deeper level, but now this is an experience that I can pass on to my clients and be like, oh my gosh, like, yes, this is real. And like, I can connect with people more. And this is the thing that I'm talking about. You're always looking for opportunity to grow, to expand, to love your life. Like, yes, shit happens. Like, shit happens to everyone. And so if you can use that as an opportunity to say, okay, this is happening for me, and how can I take away from this? Versus like, of course, this thing happened, blah, blah. Yeah, that's where you'll stay stuck vibrationally. And, to your point, I mean, we're always working on ourselves. And this is the thing, like, when you can understand that your job is to connect vibrationally to what you want, and then go to that like doing part, like that ego part. It's like, okay, we're going to do this thing. That's what our ego's for, right? Our ego's for like telling us like, it's time to take action. It's time to do the thing. It's time to get out of your own damn way. Like, that's what our ego's for. Our ego is not here to tell us to keep us stuck, right? And so when you can start to vibrationally match to what you want, and then listen to your ego when it says, okay, it's time to go take action, get out of your way, that's when you can actually have things like, and they call it like the 3D versus the 5D, right? So when you can have that balance, but like you said, you can't just be like, oh, I did a meditation, oh, I did this. Like this is a lifelong practice. This is a daily, not just a once a day practice, but this is like on the hour, right? Like you get triggered or like somebody just pisses you off or you get into traffic. Like this is when you tap down into your energy, you tap down into your vibration, and you're like, wait a second, am I going to allow that to change my vibration, or am I going to step back in? And so this is not just a one and done. This is a all the time thing. You're not doing it just once a morning. You're doing it all the time.
Yeah.
This is the work. And this is the work to having what you want and to having the wealth that you want.
Absolutely. You're so right on that. There's so many layers. That's the thing people don't understand. It's the layers. Like layers of an onion. You peel one, there's another one there, and it gets easier. We're telling you that this is lifelong work, but it gets easier because the more you know and the more tools you have, the easier and faster you can attack that.
Yeah, I mean, like 2 years ago, I would have been stuck in that shit for a long time, probably weeks. And I was able to move through it fairly quickly within, a day or so of like, wow, this is happening. And but the thing is I'm always working on it, but I didn't stay stuck there. Whereas I know 3 years ago, I would have been stuck there for days of like, oh, this trauma, like energetically. But I've been able to pull myself out and say, okay, like, let's reflect. What the hell just happened?
Exactly. And when you can look at what it's teaching you and how it can make you better in the future, I think that's really the really cool thing. And the cool thing about working with coaches like Heather and I is that you don't have to go out and do all of this research and find all the tools and spend all the time. Like we've done it for you. And we are bringing it to you so that it's much easier for you than it was for us, because we both like spent years honing our crafts and taking all of these courses. We were just talking about all the courses we were taking before we started this podcast. And we're doing all the work on ourselves and finding the tools for you so that you have a much easier time uncovering those triggers, the traumas, the stories that you've told yourself, so that we can get rid of them and then help you reframe your thoughts and have a completely new mindset when it comes to things like money. Or for me, like I work with a lot of people with self-love, with their body issues, and just loving themselves enough to speak up for themselves and setting healthy boundaries and not being a giver and letting people use them or manipulate them. And so just finding ways to make your life better. We're here to help you do that. And I know that you've got a new program going on. I know you're doing the bookkeeping for service providers. You got that going on, but you also have a new program coming up. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so and I don't even have a sales page or whatever. So you're like all the first to kind of like hear about this. So send me a message if you want to know more. So I'll start with that. But yeah, so basically I went through, so with my coach, right? She was like, okay, so like what's all the things that you do for people? And so we went through this whole thing. And so basically it's, the corporate journey that I've been on. So corporate to six-figure CEO. And so really taking you on that journey of, looking at what do you actually want? Like, what do you want on this journey of how can we best help you get out of corporate, help you get out of your own way, asking for what you want, then start to, look at your money stories. Like, why are you not, we're never where we want to be because we're just here, right? There's a reason why we're stuck here. So that's really what I do, healing around your money. So I look at like, okay, why are we still here? Like, what beliefs do you have? And we really go into that belief system and really having a strong, solid belief system. Because what happens when you leave corporate, you leave your job or whatever, and you go into this entrepreneur journey, there's a belief system that you have to foundationally build along the way, because you don't have that quote unquote safety net or that same brain or that same mindset you have when you're in corporate. Because every week you're getting a check, every month you're getting a check, but you have to make a shift in your mindset and in your belief structure to be able to say, hell yes, I can do this. And like, this is what I want. And like all of these practices. And so I take you through that, like why, what's sticking, all of that stuff. And then really start to build financially. Like I look at your finances with you. I help you build a financial system that will support your life and your business. And so this is definitely one of the things that business owners, and even as people, right? Like how many of us, our tax return is the last thing that we deal with and the last thing that we look at. I help you make that a process along the way of your business and to set the foundation to help you know where your money is, where it's going, and have the systems to be able to implement that every single month versus, oh, well, it's the end of the year. I've got to look at my tax return, or I've got to pay a bill. So therefore now I'm going to look at my money. There's a reason why you're not looking at your money. So we talk about that and we build a belief structure around it. And then we just really work on the foundations of building your program, just kind of moving into your new life. And what is the program? What are the things that you're going to offer to get you to this 6-figure place? And so here's what makes what I do differently than a lot of other business coaches. What I personally believe is that I do this holistically for you. Okay. So I don't give you my formula to getting 6 figures. I help you tap into your formula and your system to getting 6 figures, to getting whatever you want. And so I walk you through that step so that it feels good for you. It feels good for you in your body. You love doing what you do. I don't give you a system or a formula to follow. I help you develop your own system and your own formula.
I love that because a lot of programs out there are just cookie cutter and everybody goes through them and everyone gets the same program and you just
Yeah, and why doesn't that work, right? Why
yeah.
doesn't it work? Because we're all different.
Right.
Because you want to work with me, you might want to work with Melissa. Like we work with everybody for different reasons. Like that's what makes it like foundational, right? And so business programs are like, oh, do this system. Why doesn't it work for you? Because you're not them, because you haven't experienced that. You don't have that same vibration. You don't have that same background because it's you, because we're all different. And so this is why you have to build this life that works for you because you're different.
Yeah, exactly. I've always thought that the cookie cutter approach is in everything and teaching and everything is just so wrong because every unique person has an individual, unique style of learning, of connecting with people, of accessing, and we don't all come from the same place. You have different traumas, and I have different traumas, and everyone else has different life experiences. We've got to really work with you to uncover those things and clear those things before we can start building the other things and know what works best for one person doesn't always work best for another. And that's what I really love about people like you who are coaching, that you really tailor the coaching to the specific person and that person's needs so they feel like they're getting what they wanted out of the program instead of just give me your money and here watch these videos, because I've been in programs like that too. I've had programs where they're like, I took all your money and now here's 50 videos to go and watch and do this at your own pace and figure it out. Those things don't work for me.
Yeah, and that's so important too, to like know what, how things do work for you. And this goes back to yourself, right? Goes back to asking for what you want. Like I'm not, I'm not a visual person, maybe I'm not an audio person, like whatever, however you learn. I don't learn by reading shit. Okay, well then we need to get you a video. Okay. But I love that about like what you and I do, because we're both teachers. Like we have this teacher background, and like just that's how our brain works, is like, okay, so are you auditory? Are you visual? Are you auditory visual? Are you kinesthetic? Like all that stuff. And I'm like always building that into my programs. It's just like it. And I realized it after, a couple of years. I was like, oh my God, I was like building all of that a long time ago. It was always in me.
Yeah,
And now it's just so
differentiating.
natural.
Yes, differentiation. We're always being drilled that differentiation, but it's so true because, you know, if you teach one way all the time, you're only going to reach that percentage of students who learn that way. And same thing goes when you work with a coach. If you're only coaching one way, you're not going to reach all of your clients. You're not going to be able to help them all in the way that you do when you're able to really look at a client individually and say, what are your needs? Okay, let's look at what is going to help you the most and will work for you the most. And that's what I love about I love being able to work with people because I love getting to see all the different things that they bring to me that they want help with and being able to see the real change that they're able to make because they've done the work. I love that. That's like the biggest reward ever is to see people have positive shifts in their life and to hear them saying like I'm so glad that I worked with you or I'm so glad I found you and I know that you probably get that a lot too. So it's very rewarding.
Yeah, and here's the thing, like this hit me this week as I was again, like we do these things, like I was having this like meltdown, this thing happening. And what hit me is I was in the middle of this and I was like, this is robbing my joy. And then it hit me, I was like, wait a minute, I have big shit to do in the world. Like I want to help change people's lives. Like I want to get people out of this stuck environment. Like I have this big vision to help caregivers and people suffering with PTSD and military spouses. Like I have this big, huge vision. And if I stay stuck in this place right now, I can't go do these huge things. And so this is like you, this is why I love working with clients because it's like, we are helping make that change one step at a time. And it's the complete ripple effect. And it's like, we've got big shit to do, ladies. Like it's time, get out of your own way. Let's do this and create this change in the world. Cause that's why we're here. Like, that's why you stumbled across Melissa. That's why you stumbled across this podcast. That's why you're listening to this one, because you have a dream in your heart. Like we've got big shit to do. So that's really kind of like my new motto. Like I'm going to put it on my board is like, I have big shit to do. So like, I don't have time for like being stuck in everybody else's bullshit.
Exactly. It's time to move. It's time to do the thing already. You already know the thing you want to do and you need to do. It's just time to do it already. Whether that's moving forward energetically or actually doing the physical thing, the energy you put out is going to be matched by the universe. So it's time to stop staying stuck where you are. It is time. So
Yes.
this is such a great conversation. I always have so much fun
You
when
got me pumped up. So yeah, if you want to know, like I said, I mean, like I have a website, I have Instagram, I have all that stuff. It's not posted there. If you want to know more about it, then reach out to me, either DM me, send me an email, send me like, a bird, whatever. Like I'm sure you can find me in all the places. If you want to know more about this and you want to work with me and be in my energy, I'm here.
and we'll put all of Heather's links in the show notes so that you can go and click and you can follow her, work with her, whatever, you
Or
feel.
even just send me a message and say, hey, I listened to your episode. I love you. Thank you. I love getting those messages. Tag us in your Instagram stories. That's always a fun one.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. I do too. I love hearing from people too because you never know the impact you make if no one ever reaches out. But when people reach out and say, thank you for doing this, it's what motivates me to get up and keep doing it every single day because it's not easy to record a podcast 3 times a week when you have a full-time job and a business. But it's really, it's what drives me and it's my passion to help people. And when I hear from my listeners that, thank you for doing what you do, keep doing it, and they love the guests, that is what is keeping me going. So thank you guys so much for doing that. I love hearing from you. And we have to give a special shout out to Ginger because we're both friends with Ginger, who's one of my listeners, and we do this every time, and we always kind of
Ginger, we love you.
we knew she'd be excited that we were doing another episode together. So hi to Ginger. And one of the new things that I do now when I have guests on, Heather, is before we end the show, I always ask my guests to leave our listeners with one nugget of wisdom, something, a piece of advice, anything that you could share with our listeners that might help them just keep going in their day-to-day lives. What would that be?
So what's coming up for me, I would not be able to do this justice or any of the work that I'm stepping into is You put your hand on your heart and you take a huge deep breath in. You close your eyes and you ask, what would she do? And that's the place that you come from, making your decisions and stepping into that new formation of who you want to be. What would she do? And step into her energy because she knows and she has your highest and best in it for you.
I love that. Love that. It's all about learning how to trust your higher self and trust your intuition and tapping into that. And when you can start doing that, you're never going to be steered wrong by your higher self. So, learning to trust that inner voice. Well, thank you, Heather, so much for being here with us today. This was so much fun.
Yes, thank you so much.
And I want to thank all of you for being here with us today as well. As always, if you like this podcast, please subscribe. Please leave a positive review from wherever you're listening. And the best compliment you can pay me is to share this podcast with anyone you think might benefit from it. Also, don't forget to follow me on social media. I go live Mondays at 6:30 Central, where I do a free card reading on Facebook. If you follow me and you show up for the live, I will pull a card especially for you. And if you want to work with me, you can go to my website, melissaoatman.com. There you'll see all the services I offer. You can book directly from the website. But if you really want to work with me and you're not sure what you want or what you need, you can book a free discovery call with me. When you go to my website, melissaoatman.com, just click book discovery call, schedule your time. We'll jump on a Zoom call for 15 to 20 minutes and we can talk about what you need and how I might best serve you. All right, guys, as always, I hope you have a beautiful day from wherever you're listening. I am sending you so much love and light, and I will talk to you soon. Bye, guys.